Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the Jim Carrey Project. This is the project where we are watching all of Jim Carrey's movies in chronological order. I am your host, Brian Kondrach, and with me, as always, is...
Carrie Grant.
And today, we just finished watching Man on the Moon. And now, before I ask you the question, a little backstory. We're actually filming 2 episodes in a row, so we watched Truman Show earlier, and we're watching this now. It was exhausting, but what'd you think?
That's what I said. As soon as it was over, I go, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, what did you think about the whole thing?
God, so I did enjoy it. I didn't get bored.
Yeah.
I wasn't, we ate lunch in between, and I thought I'd get sleepy, and I didn't.
Yeah.
So that's good. I mean, it did keep me curious, I'd say. I just don't know enough about it, but I mean... I'm guessing the guy's weird, and so the movie's weird, and that's just what it is. But, it was different.
Yeah, it is intense. It is a lot to handle. It's what does it say? It's 119 minutes, so it's almost 2 hours flat, basically. But there is so much going on in it because Andy Kaufman was such a subversive and such a crazy actor that you had to hit a bunch of marks in order to get you to that feeling of to get the payoff at the end of the movie to be. Are you okay? You're just there's a lot to process.
Yeah, there's
right
a whole lot to
here,
process. Yeah. No, I agree with all that for sure. Yeah, I didn't know anything about. I mean, I just had heard of Andy Kaufman. I kind of randomly. I mean, I kind of knew he was a comedian, but I knew that he was kind of strange.
Yeah,
that's really all I knew, and I knew that Jim Carrey kind of got weird or kind of too much into the character when he was filming, and that's the extent of what I knew. Those 2 or 3 things. So I didn't know where it was going to go. I didn't know he died of cancer. I didn't really know what his comedy was. I didn't even know he was on Taxi. So I really knew nothing. So I was interested because I'm what is happening all this time, and weird things kept happening.
Where is it going to go, and how is it going to resolve itself? It was this is building up a lot for what seems like very little payoff at certain points in the movie. You're they're just getting mad at him. What's the point of all of this if he's just getting mad at him?
I mean, I guess they're building on how he just took a lot of chances and did a lot of things that people just didn't really understand or agree with, but also a lot of people really loved and really thought was funny. So... yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and we'll try and find some focus to talk about because there's a lot. But let's just talk about with Jim Carrey.
Okay.
We're coming off of the Truman Show literally an hour ago.
Yes.
Where it's a movie all about one person being totally unaware of the world in which they live in being a production.
Yes.
Whereas this movie is the opposite. It is one man who is totally aware that our world and us as humans is an entirely fictionalized, creative, production that we put on ourselves. Everything we do, interactions with other people, everything we do in Hollywood, especially everything we do with people when it comes to how we deal with society norms, it's all a production. And here's this guy who's trying to break it all down and be the only one that's he's the one behind the curtain. He's but nobody else can see it.
He's the guy playing the joke.
Yeah, he's the one playing the joke on everybody, which is such a big twist.
God, you're right.
It's just what is the worlds are. This is a very philosophical kind of day if we're not careful.
It is a lot.
Yeah, but
you're totally right. That's what it is. I mean, that's him. He's kind of in his own world, but he's also very aware of audiences and very aware of their perception or what he wants them to feel and lots of times it was to get them mad,
riled up.
That was the main idea lots of times, and to surprise them. But it's
so animalistic too to get mad, where it's just you lose humanity when you get angry. You're I just want to rip you apart like an animal, and I get out of here. And then when something changes, the reward for that anger where you're now happy is just 10 times greater than it was. It actually, that gave me goosebumps.
That's exactly what he did over and over again to people.
His whole career.
Just shock them or anger them or make them sad or whatever, and then flip it on its head and be no, it's really not that bad or whatever, or it was just a joke. And actually, that kind of comedy to me is hard. I don't. When I do know people who kind of are try to be funny that way, and I find that I don't always want to be. I feel like the joke is being played on me a lot, and I don't know if I like that. And I think he did do that.
Yeah. And I mean that's where it is. That's what cringe humor or subversive humor is. But we're getting into the philosophical.
I don't know where else to go with it.
I know.
Yeah, let's go back to Jim. Okay.
To Jim's Planet, I think the original idea was that we were going to talk about these two different characters that are great juxtapositions of characters.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey is Truman, whatever his last name was. He has this innocence about him. He has this endearing characteristics that we know Jim Carrey to have, and that are just dialed up, and to a point where he is almost a caricature of like the Mr. Nice Guy,
the nice
or whatever.
guy part of him. Yeah,
that's especially looking at it after watching Man on the Moon, where he's playing Andy Kaufman. He is playing a real person, and he looks like the part, and he plays the part.
Yes.
And I mean, he is able to get in there and be subversive as Andy Kaufman throughout this movie. You lose Jim Carrey in this movie.
So, because I don't know much about Andy Kaufman and never really seen him in anything, to me, Jim Carrey is Andy Kaufman at this point. Every once in a while I'd jump back in my head, but for the most part, I just totally believe that's Andy Kaufman the whole time.
I think that's one of the reasons it's so exhausting too, because it's like, this is not an actor being a character. This is that guy, and Andy Kaufman is hard to deal with.
Yeah, and if I felt like if I watched Andy Kaufman now, I would just be thinking of Jim Carrey.
He'll look like Jim Carrey. He looks like that guy from Taxi, that looks like Jim Carrey in that movie.
It's all messed up in my mind now.
Which, if we get philosophical with it again, is probably exactly what Andy Kaufman would have wanted.
Don't do that.
Kablooah! Brain hurts. So bad.
I forget. Like Andy Kaufman, what year did he die then?
This was released in 1999. I don't know when Andy Kaufman died. Let me check that out.
Been earlier.
He died in 1984.
Yeah, way earlier.
So he was only 35 when he died.
Oh my god.
Dang. I didn't realize he was so young.
That's crazy. So yeah, but you're right. That's exactly what Andy Kaufman would have wanted.
He would have totally wanted
to mess with my head.
Yeah. You don't know who's who anymore.
No. Well, and I think that was one of the main themes I think in the movie was that you just never knew. First of all, even his wife, I guess it's his wife, girlfriend, whoever she was.
They were only together for like 3 years.
Yeah, but that's what she said. And like at one point was just he's like you don't even know me. She's like, there is no real you, and he's like, yeah, you're right. Like he didn't deny it or whatever. But like you never know what's real. There's no. Again, kind of going back to the other one too, is like what is reality? Like, and he did so even with the wrestling and with just so many things that he did. It was like just so and people liked it, I think, but for me, I find that hard. Like, and then when he had cancer, people didn't know whether to believe him or not.
Do you believe him?
When you trick people all the time, then when something true is happening, they don't know.
And the fact that they had made jokes about it of like, oh, we should fake your death, and it would be hilarious. But it's like, no, it's not.
That's
hilarious.
What it implies at the end that they did.
Yeah, I think that implication. I think before this movie even existed, there was that implication that Andy Kaufman faked his own death. But whenever this came out, everyone was like, no, he really did it. Like we'll get it. He'll be coming around in 2015, 2018, something like that. Oh my God, how funny would it be for this year of 2020 to just be like the year Andy Kaufman comes back?
Oh,
we've got COVID and murder hornets and Andy Kaufman.
Like,
well, I guess we have some level of joyness that like we have all this terrible stuff happening out in the world. And we have this joy.
There was a guy who was like some kind of football or something player who he just was found. Like they thought he faked his own death like 3 years ago, and now they found him. But yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, I think that's what Andy Kaufman would have wanted you to think. And I wonder too, like the last scene was like him playing that character. Well, not him playing the character.
Yeah,
somebody was playing that character.
The Tony Clifton.
But if that really did happen, like I could see Andy Kaufman saying, "Okay, a year from now,
we'll do it.
I want to show with whoever playing me or whatever,
and not the Paul Giamatti character.
Still making people wonder, did that really happen or not?
That's so funny. I don't know if that actually happened, but it's so funny.
That was a good way to end the movie, though. I think it brought a little bit of like joy, I guess, at the end, because it was sad. I teared up during the funeral scene. It was pretty like emotional.
And this is one of the things that makes this movie so good, I think. And I don't know if it's actually what Andy Kaufman did, and because we're not well versed in that. But if he had everyone at his funeral start doing a sing along, like even you and I just sitting here, you get this depression of, oh, he's dead, the end of the movie, and then everyone's arms around each other and like loving, and it's just like I'm on a high right now because the difference in emotions that we went through just in the last 20 minutes of like finishing up the movie.
It's a lot.
It's exhausting.
It really is.
And so, I know. Let's talk actually about Jim Carrey as opposed to Andy Kaufman.
Well, because he is Andy Kaufman in it. So like anything we're talking about, we are talking about Jim Carrey doing it and how he affected us and how he...
As an actor, he's nailed it. Like what Andy Kaufman probably was about.
I mean...
One of the things that I did read about, and there's a really good documentary on one of the streaming services called Jim and Andy, and it is all about the production and development of this movie, and then him playing it, and him being a character, interviews with other people who were involved in filming and stuff. And it was said that Jim Carrey's method acting, he never broke character with Andy Kaufman, and like, which is probably why you lose him so much in this character. But like, he would get tics that Andy Kaufman himself had,
the eyes,
the mannerisms, and everything. There is one little bit that they're like, oh, Andy Kaufman was a lot more lighthearted when he wasn't in character versus Jim Carrey. There's that Tony Clifton and a little bit maliciousness, but especially that where it's like, oh, you're being like kind of a jerk. Especially to... And
they were saying he wasn't really like that.
Yeah, he was saying Andy Kaufman was a little nicer, a little more... But, you know, it's that's what happens. A little bit of a different take.
Well, if you're in that character and you're doing the scenes, and sometimes it just comes out the way it comes out, you know? So, like, he didn't, like, he'd get on the set, he was Andy Kaufman, he left the set, he was Andy Kaufman.
He never stopped.
Weeks and weeks on end.
I don't know how long it took to produce
Well,
this
and it's so hard because, I mean, it's a real person. They're real scenes that really happened. And like he must have studied that a lot and like, you know, had to learn how those went, and like, I mean, that's exhausting to try to live up to what the original and a lot of this stuff was on TV. It wasn't real life behind the scenes. It's real life on where people can see, you know.
It's stuff that Jim Carrey would have been able to watch on TV as a child, as a younger adult, not necessarily a child, because he's in his 30s in the early 90s. Yeah. So he would have been teens and early teens and stuff during the early 80s.
So I could see why he decided to do to do the method acting and to
go into it,
give it his all, kind of thing.
He's such a unique
I think I heard him say that he sort of lost himself in that, and you do, because you literally are a different person.
Yeah, it might be why also Jim Carrey leans into the transcendental meditation. And it's like, did he start doing this a lot more after Man on the Moon, or was he already doing it in that way?
I don't know. I mean, you know, getting inside Andy Kaufman's head and then doing stories where you're being gaslighted, like Truman Show and all these things going on, then you're a celebrity on top of it. People are on top of you all. Like, there's just so much in such a short period of time. This is still like 99 or something like that.
This was released in 99.
I mean, this has like been the craziest like 5 years of his life. Yeah. And so no wonder, like, if like this really affected him, that he was like, okay, like what in the world is this life? Like, what?
Take a step back.
It doesn't feel like real life, probably. You know, like
it's exactly. It's like, what do you do with yourself at that point? This is still like processing.
I mean, it's my head is kind of spinning from today for sure. But I mean, I'm so glad I saw the movie. Like, I've been wanting to see it since it came out, and I want to see that behind the scenes thing too. I think that would be really interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll do a show about that one, but
maybe we could just watch it on our own together and just mention it or something. But I mean, Jim Carrey, God, I mean, if anyone doubted what a great, serious, dramatic actor he was before this movie, this probably should convince people. Like, if you can do this and be this person so thoroughly and convincingly, like, you are an amazing actor. There's I mean, whatever silliness you came into this business and doing faces, it doesn't matter anymore at this point, because you've proved that you've done something that most actors can't do.
Yeah, and that's the critical consensus is Jim Carrey is dead on his portrayal of Kaufman, which helps make this kind of cliched biopic movie something so much more than that is. I think I don't remember if he got awards on this one, but I think it was Truman Show in which he won the best actor.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I had pulled up earlier, and then I closed it down, so now I'm trying to do it in the middle of this thing, and it's whatever. But
I can talk with you when I look for something. Just to go back to like the other characters, and I'm guessing these characters are based off of real life people too. Like I thought Danny DeVito was really cute and kind of endearing and patient with him in a really kind of real way. I think
actual agent and producer.
I mean, I do feel like Andy Kaufman, if these characters are legitimate and real and how they are in real life, like did have like a fairly good support system. Like I think his agent, if his portrayal of him was accurate, was great with Danny DeVito, and this girlfriend with Courtney Love, and then Paul Giamatti, who's sort of his like partner that you don't even know how they found each other.
How
like,
did
suddenly,
they become friends?
When he met what is it, Clifton? What is
Tony
Clifton.
Tony Clifton.
Suddenly, like Paul Giamatti was just there, and he's like, "Well, yeah, this is my guy who like does it with me."
Yeah, he
like,
gets it.
where did he come from? Like, I guess they met and they became friends somehow.
Yeah.
But like after that, he's in the scene, in everything he does. So
that's a good question to research. Like, who are these? Who is that guy?
But they all seemed very like that small group like got him, understood him.
Bob Zamuda is another comedian, actor, writer, and was known for his friendship with.
There you go. So like he had that. I thought the characters were all interesting to watch. I thought they all did a good job, and like it was kind of nice to see. I guess it brought even more like humanity to Andy Kaufman in a way that like, because sometimes he did seem like a jerk and an asshole, and he was pushing buttons and like in such a in an offensive way. But then you almost do forget, because he's so dedicated in those offensive things and being almost like racist and being sexist,
wrestling and like all the women.
And people that's why people stopped liking him for a while, because they really did believe that, because he was so convincing. And then but we don't get a whole lot of interaction with his girlfriend or with his agent when he is normal. It's almost like when those scenes come on, you're like, oh,
thank God.
It's like you get to breathe for a second and be like, okay, no, he is normal.
There is a reprieve.
There's a real person in there, because you do like, it makes you feel anxious all the time watching him do these bad things. And even his parents like were watching him throughout the years, and like every time they're just like, no, stop, like what is he doing? And they like kind of hated it too.
I feel bad for the actors like that are going through this movie. Like I know like that's so many just weird things about this movie. Like even being an actor on this movie had to have been such a crazy thing. But like his parents, he's apologized for so many things after being told, you crossed the line, you crossed the line, you crossed the line. And in the middle of the apology, he's like, nope, it was a joke. I can't. They're making me do this. Yeah. I don't want to. It's like you're not helping your case. No, you're not helping anything.
Bad. I know.
Oh my goodness. I just need a nap. I need a nap right now.
I really will. I think I will do some more research on Andy Kaufman after this, and Jim Carrey's relationship with the late Andy after
watch Jim and Andy from The Great Beyond, and it's so good. I was surprised how many actors were in this movie that I've seen in so many other big roles since 1999. Like the brother of Andy Kaufman was the guy who plays Doug Stanhope in House of Cards on Netflix, and he's one of my favorite dramatic actors now too, because he's so intense as an actor, and then just so many little tiny like cameos of people that
there's a few cameos
seen in
so
there.
Much. Comedians usually,
John Turturro, the guy, he was in Men in Black. He's been in a lot of stuff. He played the Jesus in The Big Lebowski. He was the freaking choir band director at the Carnegie Hall show.
Funny. And that's not even like a line or anything.
No, he didn't have anything. I just was like, hey, that's John Turturro. I recognize his face just from like a tiny little glimpse.
Yeah, definitely through a few. I mean, that's good. It's a movie about a comedian, so you should have some comedians in there. I liked that they had a lot of the original people in Taxi playing the taxi scenes. Yeah,
it's Christopher Lloyd, Carol Kane. Is that what you said?
Carol Kane, yeah.
I don't know the other two names.
The other, Marianne.
The woman.
And then the guys too. I think were original too.
I don't remember who you're talking. Patton Oswalt as blue collar guy.
Oh, Patton Oswalt was the little guy in there.
Stanley Coffin, Leslie Lynn. There's so many.
The
George
guy,
Shapiro.
I can't think of it. He was in. I used to watch a show called Dear John. He was the main character in that, but he was in Taxi too. I can't remember his name now.
I know who you're talking about, but I think they all. Several cast members. Mary Lou Henner, Judd Hirsch, Christopher Lloyd, Carol Kane, Jeff Conway, all make cameos playing themselves. And it's real funny that Danny DeVito, one of the mainstays of the movie Taxi or the show Taxi, couldn't play his part in it because he was playing the
other part. I think that's a cute twist on it.
And it's another Andy Kaufman thing.
Yeah.
but which universe are we in?
Messing with your mind.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
I don't know. I wish we had more time to do some research before
beforehand.
I watched this, because it was written by Scott Alexander and Larry Karaszewski. I don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
They have they share a Wikipedia page. I know that one. They've written Problem Child and Ed Wood, People vs. Larry Flynt, Darn Cat, Screwed, Agent Cody Banks, Percy Jackson. They've got Big Eyes. Oh, good gracious! I didn't know they wrote Dolomite Is My Name. If you haven't seen that, that's a really good movie with Eddie Murphy on Netflix.
Okay.
But that's on a tangent. So these guys have had quite a successul career as writers for a while.
As partners.
As writing partners and things, and then they have a production company. That's awesome. Didn't realize that. But they did a really good job.
Yeah, no,
with
I think the script was great. I think there was no issues or questions or anything about. I mean, they were following real life, so I guess it's just what events do you choose?
Yeah,
what makes it interesting? What turn or point are you trying to make with each scene and following his life? So I think they did a great job of that.
And also going back to Jim Carrey did win a Golden Globe for this as his best actor, which he also won for Truman Show. Okay. So to see him get 2 awards on 2 characters that are so
different years,
completely different. I mean, he won. This was in '99, and then the Truman Show was in '98.
So back to back.
So basically 2 years in a row. Okay. Which is incredible. He's in his prime. He's in his heyday of we've gotten past his particularly big acting. Yeah. And now he's fine-tuned his dramatic stuff, and then we're going to go back into some more kind of crazy, and then more mind stuff.
So just wondering about Jim Carrey. So we've watched some of his comedy. He's never been much of the shock comedy. He's not ever been really offensive. There might have been a couple funny things, but not much. And I wonder, as one comedian who has a certain style, then acting as another comedian who has a completely different style, that people did get angry with. I mean, I even wrote down with his racist and sexist remarks, he thought, I think he thought he was being funny, but then really everyone, it ruined him. People turned on him and really thought he was.
They didn't know it was a joke.
And he really said the line I don't take life so seriously. And I've heard Jim Carrey kind of say things sort of like that too, but God, how, I wonder if that kind of messes with your mind. Yeah. You're this is what's funny. This is what's funny for me. And, maybe he might find other comedians funny who don't do what he does, but to be in that in another person's mind who and I mean, even Andy Kaufman says several times, I don't know what's funny. Yeah. I think he truly just did whatever he thought was funny, and sometimes that is just playing jokes on other people in a way,
being mean or being
a little bit, or not, or tricky, just tricky. I want them to. He just mind.
He just wanted to make it was fun for him. It didn't matter what you thought about it.
And they said that in the movie too. Yeah. That's not funny for other people. It's only funny for you two.
Yeah, it's what's wrong with you?
I don't know. I could see that's just a lot. You really have to be empathetic and really get inside someone else's head to understand that,
and to be able to portray it so clearly and aggressively. One of the things that I made a note of, and we've talked about this, is that, he's the only one in on it. You were just saying that. But the irony of it all is the last note that I wrote towards the end of the movie, where he's got the healing crystals, he's doing homeopathic healing, he's doing the radiation. And, Jim Carrey does a really good job of going from this larger-than-life person, Andy Kaufman, this larger-than-life, outrageous character, Tony Clifton, Andy Kaufman, to being this super meek, he plays sickly. A really good sickly guy, and it's weird to see him transition, but he's so good at it.
Yeah, well, in the movie flips real fast with that.
It was one thing to another, which super rare lung cancers, undetectable at the time. The whole thing is that this line of the irony of it all, when he's at the fake doctor in the Philippines and he sees behind the towel, he sees the trick, and we just get him.
And he starts laughing. He just got tricked.
Yeah.
You've been tricking people all your whole life, and now you just got tricked.
It's they did such a good job of putting that in there.
Yeah.
To have this such crazy switch, and that's, if you guys hear that, there's a guy blowing the lawn guy around and stuff.
Yeah.
So anything else we want to talk about? Let's talk about budget and whatnot. This was not very critically. It was considered unsuccessful commercially and received mixed reviews.
Yep.
Which
surprised.
Going back and watching it now,
it's a lot.
It's a hell of a ride.
I think if you're a fan of Andy Kaufman, it's amazing.
Yeah.
You're not, and don't understand it. It's the whole thing can be hard. It's getting even louder now.
It's going to get louder. So, 119 minutes, was released worldwide. It had a budget of 52 to 82 million, somewhere in there. It doesn't give a specific amount.
It can be pretty high,
though. And then it only made 47.4 million.
They lost money.
So they lost a bunch of money on that one, which is kind of crummy, because you would think that all the people that are fans of Andy Kaufman, or at least interested in him as a comedian, would go see it. And maybe that's all that went and saw it.
Maybe, I don't know.
Who were into it.
Doesn't feel like a date movie necessarily.
Not at all.
Kind of. I think if you just I didn't know who he was, but I just knew enough that I knew that it was a little strange, and that Jim Carrey kind of got a little loopy doing it, and so you already kind of feel this is going to be a bit of a haul to get through it all. It's not a light, easy one just to sit through, and it's not super dark or anything either. It's still enjoyable.
It's just exhausting.
Yeah. And I felt like I was getting tricked sometimes too. Even at the end. I guess movies are supposed to do that too.
Yeah.
But seeing everyone get tricked, and I feel like I get tricked sometimes, because lots of times there would be a scene and I wouldn't know what's going on either, because I didn't know the background.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, it's he's here, or he's doing this or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's it's hard for people.
Yeah. I agree with you.
I don't know how to get it out.
English language.
So hard.
Yeah, so let's ratings. If you were going to rate this out of a 10 scale, what would you give it? I know it's a hard one to rate.
I think I'll rate the movie and I'll rate Jim separately, because I think honestly the movie was a little not rough for me, but I don't think I'd be like, hey, let's watch it again.
Yeah,
I'd say 6.
I've seen it once. I think that's all
I'm good now. But Jim Carrey, I think he did you couldn't get any better than that. And being who he was, and he's sorry, it's so loud.
Yeah,
definitely a 9.
Yeah. I will be right up there with it. The movie itself is exhausting, and I can see where it could be critically or not really critically acclaimed, and just because it is so much, and Andy Kaufman is so particular. But Jim Carrey freaking disappears.
Oh, totally.
You don't see him in it. You don't see. You are sucked into this world, and it is a ride. So I'll give the movie definitely a 7. I'll give Jim Carrey a 9.5.
Yeah.
It's crazy. This is his it's the biopic or whatever that he was meant to be in, I think. And I agree.
I think this was if you're going to play a real person, this is the perfect role
for him.
Yeah,
because I can't think of anybody else I would see him play, because they kind of look alike, and especially with his ability to transform and do those impressions,
Well,
got to
doing
do his
the ticks.
Elvis
Yeah.
impression. And
Yeah,
the
that's
ticks
true.
And the control of his face, whether
Yes,
it's on the minute
that's a
scale
lot of
or
what
all
it
that
is.
stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Jim Carrey's amazing in this one. And
He is.
It's just a bunch of movie.
Give him. Yeah, I mean, all it is that Andy Kaufman had a crazy life. That's what's exhausting. The movie itself is fine. The writing is good. The acting is good. Andy Kaufman had a crazy life, and what he did makes me tired.
Yeah, what he did makes me tired.
Yeah.
I agree with you completely on that one.
Yeah.
One of the things, just talking about Andy Kaufman having a crazy life, a lot of the events in this one, the wrestling was real, of course. The show at Carnegie Hall was real, but it wasn't necessarily so close to when he was like diagnosed and died. He did it beforehand.
Yeah.
But how funny is that? Everyone's going to get milk and cookies and taking a whole entire
Well, and I
show
actually loved that you know, he I think he was a good guy and he was a nice guy deep down, but people just didn't know that about him. And so I like that he wanted to have a positive message. You know, the way they set it up was toward the end of his life, but a positive, you know, kind of leave his last show as like, it's a big thing. It's a happy thing.
Because we've had so much,
Although having that old lady fake die and then resurrect her still freaks me out.
But
is that a happy thing?
To his genius, she's almost dead. Everyone's freaked out, and then there's the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, the Rockettes, and Santa Claus. You got to go from one extreme to the other, which is the entire point of the movie.
But that's why it makes you tired. Because you're like, did she really die? Did she really die? And then she's, you got me again. Like, and that's emotional. Like, he's taking you on an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah. It wasn't right. I know. Yes. Time for a nap.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and wrap this up because you and I need to just chill out for a second. So thank you guys for tuning in to the Jim Carrey Project. This was Man on the Moon. Yep. I'm Brian Kondrach.
And Carrie Grant.
So if you want to check out our other stuff, it's all on YouTube. You can follow us on wherever you get podcasts. Like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. Let us know what you think about your take on Andy Kaufman, if you were a fan or not. Next episode will be Me, Myself, and Irene, where you said and Jim Carrey kind of avoids like dirty, gross humor and stuff. This probably is one of his most like.
What is going? Really?
Well, it's not that it's like whoa, but like. It's another mind trip where like he's got a split personality and one of them is very aggressive.
I think I've seen. I don't know if I've seen it all the way through, but I feel like I've seen it bits and pieces.
It's fun. It'll be
still
a
new
fun
to me.
movie. So
okay.
If you guys check that out in a couple weeks, otherwise we'll see you guys later. I hope you're all safe and hopefully you're back out in the world soon. Anyway, we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. This was all an act. It's not real.
You should keep that in there.